Hi everybody, this is Dan Stolbarger and welcome to the Middle East update for KFIR. And it's the week of October 26th. I'm down here in San Diego being with our family. And we're praying and being with our son Trevor, who's undergoing cancer treatment at this particular time. So I think we'll be down here for a while. So I appreciate your prayers for all of that. And with that in mind, let me encourage you to be a part of what we call our KFIR Fellowship. To get signed up, just go to Holy Ground Explorations, and you can just click on, you can join the KFIR, which is Hebrew for Young Lions Club, and it gives you a daily Bible reading. We need structure, but also it gives you a prayer list as well. And we also have a Facebook page for prayer. We believe that in the times in which we're living, the most important thing we can be doing is reading our Bibles in order to hear the word of the Lord, in order for our feet to be guided by His word. We also believe that it's important that we don't just talk about prayer, but that we are a praying people. And so check it out, holygroundexplorations.com. And since you're watching this at this time, you know about our Middle East update. We do a weekly Middle East update. And with that, we'll jump right in. By the way, I should say that there's an accompanying PDF PowerPoint that's an absolute must. And you can access that by going to our website at holygroundexplorations.com. Click on the blog button, and there you'll find the PDF as well as the YouTube link for this PowerPoint. Because I said that, I have to start off by saying the first picture you're going to see on that PDF is a metal detector that's being set up in the old city of Jerusalem, within the old gates, with just a simple caption, "This is a reality, it's the new Jerusalem." Well, the headlines for this week, looking to reduce tensions on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry announced on Saturday that Israel and Jordan had agreed on steps including round-the-clock video monitoring to try to bring the recent unrest to an end. We already have the Western Wall cam. Now it seems like we've got the Temple Mount cam. It seems a little eerie to me. It seems like we're getting ready for something quite large when we think about the end times and the ability for people to, no matter where they live, to be zoomed in on the Temple Mount. Pretty apocalyptic, if you ask me. The reality is that there's no common ground between the Prime Minister Netanyahu and Abbas, and thus there can be no really concrete prospect to end the violence that's going on. The Palestinian Authority has a long list of demands for Israel and believes that Netanyahu will meet at least some of them, but the reality is that he's not going to. We talked last week about lone wolf terrorism versus state-sponsored terrorism like Hamas and Hezbollah and Al-Qaeda, etc. And we've up to this point been talking about how what's going on in Israel today seems to be more of the lone wolf variety. But this just came out that the guy that was responsible at the Beersheba Central Bus Station was in contact with Hamas before the attack. And so there's some sense that there may be some coordinated efforts that's going on at this particular time. And then finally, head scratcher. I guess it's one of those things that you would say, I hope this is true. But Boogie Yalan, the Secretary of Defense for Israel, he says that Israel's relationship with the United States is the cornerstone of our security. Moshe Yalan, his nickname's Boogie, meets with the U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter in Washington, and he discusses the so-called compensation package that has been promised because of the Iranian nuclear terror pact that was signed. And so, you know, we'll have to wait and see. The reality is that I think that we've drawn a line in the sand, and I think the U.S. under Obama has decided to partner with Israel's enemies rather than Israel itself. The next slide, you'll see it says the Jewish question. I want to read this to you. It's from, it's a right-wing Zionist who's written this, so keep that in mind. But I think it raises an interesting question, or makes a statement that I think we need to hear. Please explain to me, dear world, why do you hate us Jews so much? Have we not been afflicted enough by murder, pillage, crusades, pogroms, blood libels, inquisitions, Holocaust? We do not ask for your assistance in dealing with the terror, and we don't seek your pity. We demand for you to stop justifying false claims made by false people. Please take a step backwards. Let us handle these savages who preemptively blow themselves up as suicide bombers in pizzerias and on buses in the name of Allah. These snake-like deceptive parasites will enjoy your support while laughing at your ignorance, because they're just waiting for the opportunity to kill all infidels, including you, your family, your city, and your country, with the deepest desire for peace. I say, if you want peace, you better start preparing for war. Again, words to at least think about, right? A poster that's up from Palestinian Media Watch that talks about Fatah, what they're saying in English, versus Fatah, what they're saying in Arabic, with the question below, which one do you believe? Here's a crazy maker for you. The last time we were in Israel, we were on the top of the Golan Heights at a place called Mount Bental, and in the parking lot were some UN vehicles that were parked. I want you to notice the picture. I want you to notice the Arabic writing on the UN vehicle on Mount Bental, or as you would know it as the Golan Heights. And this is simply an article called Crazy Maker. There's an outrage in Israel today. The UN chief has praised the Palestinian president Mahmoud Abbas, or actually it's Abu Mazen. And the British ambassador to the UN says that the UN chief Ban Ki-moon is pessimistic about the Middle East conflict. And then UNESCO adopts a resolution that condemns Israel's handling of Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque. And it drops a clause, however, it drops a clause declaring that the Western Wall is a part of a Muslim holy site. Really? You know, I have to say this. It is just a crazy maker that's going on. All this talk about Israel undermining the Al-Aqsa Mosque and seeking to divide up the Temple Mount and not up for the status quo. I don't know what you think about all this, but there's no evidence, there's no shred of truth in any of this. And all it does is turn up the heat and bring to a boil the passions of terrorism. And the crazy thing is that it doesn't take any evidence or any real proof. Okay, well, ISIS has released a video. The Islamic State on Friday published a video threatening Israel in Hebrew. And in the video, a masked man is holding a weapon and he's speaking fluent Hebrew. And he warns Israelis, he says, the true war hasn't yet started. What you've experienced until now is a child's war compared to what will happen to you soon. We promise you that not a single Jew will be left in the entire country. He goes on to say, look how you responded to a few car attacks and stabbings. You fell on your heads, you shot anyone that drove fast and anyone with something in their hands. Think what will happen to you when soon tens of thousands from all over the world will come to slaughter you and to throw you into the trash. We aren't just full of hot air. We are closing in on you from every direction, from Sinai and from Damascus and more. The account between us is getting longer and longer, and the account will soon be closed. Let me just remind you, the God of Israel neither sleeps nor slumbers, and he holds Israel in the palm of his hands. Let me remind you of Genesis 12, when he says, I'll bless those that bless thee, and I'll curse those that curse thee. May the God of Israel hear these threats, and may he deal with ISIS. Amen. Couple things left for this week. I'll let you read on your own the concept of the speaker system and the video surveillance system that's being put up on the Temple Mount, keeping in mind that the Palestinian Authority is demanding full Muslim oversight over Jewish visitors to the Temple Mount. And then the last one is Hamas in the West Bank. As I mentioned before, there seems to be evidence now of a collaboration, that these lone wolf things may not necessarily be so. You just need to remember that Hamas wants to take advantage of the leverage that they see in having this wave of anti-terrorism or anti-Israel terrorism grow. Hamas views the current wave of Palestinian terrorism sweeping over Israel as an opportunity not to be missed, hoping that it will turn into a mass uprising that will undermine the Palestinian Authority's control of the West Bank. And that's the point in all of this. It is never an issue about land. It's the issue of the existence of Israel. Never forget that. And in the dividing of the land, Hamas, remember, think Gaza, Hamas is just sitting on the wayside, twiddling their thumbs, waiting for this to take place, because when these boundaries are set up, it's going to be the same situation as Gaza. Fatah will not be in charge. Hamas will eventually be in charge of the West Bank. And if we have rockets that are flying from Gaza City into Sderot, imagine the problem that the world, or Israel, I should say, is going to have when a shoulder-launched rocket can be launched into Ben Gurion Airport, thus Ramallah, West Bank, etc. And so keep your eyes on all this. It's my firm belief that Obama will not leave office without making a serious attempt to implement this two-state solution. There is a vacuum in the Palestinian Authority. Abbas has no replacement whatsoever, and in that vacuum, Hamas will sweep in. So that's our weekly Middle East update. Please pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and please, as you're praying, please remember our family down here in San Diego. God bless you, and much shalom.